Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Fishing with Timmy Turtle. Slept in this morning, had a big day yesterday. Shark fishing in the morning, jack fishing in the evening. There's a short clip on my shark fishing adventures on my Fishing with Timmy Turtle Facebook page. Go and check it out, give it a like. Yeah, slept in this morning. Gonna give an attempt at a tutorial video. A lot of requests after this video over the last couple of months. How to set up and use your Baitcasters, skip casting, my favourite cast, that sort of stuff. So I'm going to do my best to explain what I've learned over the last 6 months of fishing. I've done a lot with the Baitcasters, so pretty much all I can teach you at this stage. Still new to the tutorial video stuff, so after you finish watching the video, if you've got any tips on how to improve my tutorials, just drop a comment below. Let's jump straight into it. Right, going to be using the Marley Twitch stick and the Shimano Scorpion for this demonstration. This is my new setup. A lot of you guys have been asking what my new rod is. It's a Marley Twitch stick. I think it's Adrian from Fishing Hookup sent me this. I was a little bit skeptical when he sent it to me. He goes, Tim, I've got a 2-piece, 6'9". I was like, oh, I don't like two pieces and I don't like anything over 6'3". But he sent it to me and I thought I'll test it out. I literally haven't put it down since he sent it to me. I've really been enjoying this rod. I don't like it as much for the crankbaits, but soft plastics and top water, my favourite rod, by far favourite rod. And yeah, Shimano Scorpion HG. I clicked the wrong one. I was meant to get the XG, but I got the HG. I'll leave it in the description of where you can contact Adrian. Right, so let's set this thing up. So everything on this rod's back to square one. Shimano are a bit trickier as they've got 3 adjustments for tension rather than 2. So you've got the one on the side here, that's your major one. Then you've got your internal brakes, then you've got your external brake on the Scorpion. I think the other Shimanos only have the internal brakes. That's why I bought the Scorpion. First of all, when I'm setting up a bait, I'll wind it up and let the bait fall to the ground. And I'll normally just tighten that until it falls slowly. So there we go. Yeah, tighten your large one until the bait just falls slowly and it doesn't overspool. Second thing I'll do, and I found out this the hard way, definitely on the Shimanos, is open it up. Never have all your brakes off, especially when you're beginning bait casting. I flick just 2 of them out, like to go 2, it seems to work best for me. Put that back on. And then if I'm setting it up, I'll scroll it all the way around to the max on the light tension model, your magnetic brakes. So then what I'll do after that is when it's all set up, falls slowly, doesn't overspool, is I'll give that nice little cast. There we go, didn't overspool. It actually worked quite nicely. And then I'll wind it in. I'll give it a hard one. There we go, still didn't overspool. So that's like your first initial setup. The second thing you want to do is then you want to start slowly taking off the magnetic brake. So I'll put that down to 5. It only goes up to 6 on this bad boy. And then I'll do it again. No overspool, so wind that back in, put it down to 4. No overspool, and gradually the casts get longer and longer with less effort. Wind that back in, down to 3. I normally have it on 4. It's a little bit more safer, especially if you're casting with the wind and into the wind. If you're casting with the wind and into the wind, with the wind you could probably go down to a 3 or a 2. As soon as you turn around and cast into the wind, you'll need to wind that up to a 5 or a 6. So I normally have it about 3.5, 4 on this one. But that's how you set that up. With the Daiwa, you've only got the 2 modes. You've got your tensioner on the outside, then you've got your magnetic braking on the right-hand side. So just wind it all the way up to 20, but do the same thing as drop it and let it fall to the ground. Make sure it doesn't overspool. Yeah, wind it on that side, then wind it up to 20, cast, and then you slowly wind down just on your magnetic brakes. I'll tell you about Baitcasters, how to get rid of a bird's nest. So I'm going to intentionally try and get a bird's nest. There we go. Here we go, we got a bird's nest. To get a bird's nest out, you want to just pull your main line until your spool's clear. Well, that was a shitty bird's nest, wasn't it? Ah, now we've got a bird's nest. Right, get a bird's nest out. You want to just pull your main line. You want to just keep pulling that until it stops. Give it a nice little tug just in case it keeps coming. But then what you want to do is wind it back and you want to find the loops that form over the top of your main line and you want to pull those loops up. And then you give it a tug again and there's still one more loop over the top of it. So you find that loop and you pull up. And then you pull your main line, find your loops. This is probably worse than I thought it was. Pull your, no, Don't panic, it's organic. And just pull the loops up and out until they're gone. And then pull your main line again till you find the loop. Pull it up and out. There we go. Finally got that all. And that's how you get a bird's nest out. First one I learned was just put the thumb on the spool, click it down, and then a round arm flick with your wrist. I like to do that if you're up against like I don't know, if you're up against a rock wall. It's very accurate for distance wise, not accuracy. So if you're just casting up against a rock wall or something like that, you can judge the distance really well. And then you can, if you want a little bit more distance, the second thing you can do is put your hand on the butt of the rod. But just the extra flick from your wrist will give a lot more power. So that's what I've been doing a lot of lately. The second cast I like to do is if I'm flicking around pontoons and boats and I want to get the line really accurate rather than the distance, I'll just flick overhead. You turn your spool on the side, turn your bait caster on the side, click the thumb on the spool, and then that way your follow through is directly in line with where you want that bait. So I'll do that when I'm going along beside pontoons. Very accurate in-line cast. And you can do that with one or two hands. You can flick it over the top with one, or you can add in your second hand for a bit more distance. Yeah, with skip casting, I like to have the bait right up next to the rod tip. Then you can judge how close it is to the water when you're coming through with your rod. So you'll find that that's a little tip to help you with the skip casting. Now, it took me ages to learn this, and I did it on a crappy rod and reel. So you can do it on anything, it just takes a lot of practice. But once you can skip cast on your crappy reels, you can definitely skip cast on your more expensive ones because it's 10 times more easy. I like to put the magnetic right up to max when I'm skip casting, just so you're not pulling out as many birds' nests. All you want to do is put that up, and you want to bring it through. It's just like skipping a stone with your hand. Release point as close to the water as possible, and you want the trajectory to be along the top of the water. That was horrible. Bring that in. There we go. Takes a lot of practice, and you will pull out a lot of birds' nests to begin with. I mean, I still pull out birds' nests. Make sure your thumb's pretty close to the spool at all times. So if you feel that bait hit the water, slam that thumb on the spool. Yeah, I'll do this when you know you're going in between pontoons, like those where they've got bars over the top of them or wires. Fuck. Yeah, up underneath mangrove trees and that sort of stuff. I'm yet to land a fish from a skip cast, so sometimes it's not always the best technique to use, but hey, it looks cool if you get it right. A lot of practice, guys. Even when I wasn't filming, when I first started this channel, I was down trying to skip cast and cast between pylons and stuff like that just to get my casting right, because it makes a huge difference if you can cast accurately. This is a new one I've learned. I've been practicing when I'm beside pontoons or yachts and that I'm in close quarters. I normally just wind off my tension knob a bit because you're not putting as much power into it. Hold your bait, thumb on the spool, click it down, and then you just flick it through really. So yeah, just bring the rod tip through. You just want to hold back on that so it doesn't hit anything on the way through. When your rod and your line get out of danger, that's when you release. Very accurate sort of cast. Make sure you're controlling it with your thumb. Another cast is if you're drifting along a pontoon, just use the momentum of the lure, bring the lure around and come through. It's pretty accurate, like if you're going up, if there's a wind blown side to a pontoon and you can't really get your round arm cast around there, I'll just do this little flick one. So bring your rod tip around, down, and then come up and through. Use your momentum of your jig head to get the lure moving. Give it a bit more line. Once you practice that a couple of times, you'll have it nailed. They're pretty much all the casts I use around the place. Hopefully I covered everything, guys. If not, you know, hit the questions below. I'm not very good at this tutorial stuff because I've only just started fishing, but that's what I've learned so far. Yeah, if this has helped you in any way, give it a thumbs up. If you have any more questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Yeah, thanks for fishing hookups, for letting me use the Marley Twitch. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next episode. I'm gonna go jack fishing.